On 9/11, I was in Houston, Texas. I had been on the campus of Texas A&M at a place called Disaster City. It was a training facility built by the state of Texas to train people on collapsed structures. And I was fixing to leave. I was in the Marriott Hotel there in Houston, and I was looking at the television monitor. A plane had just hit the World Trade Center, and I thought it was just a terrible accident. Somebody in a single engine plane had struck the building, and while I was standing there with other guys and discussing what was going on, the other plane hit, and it changed everything. My entire thought process changed at that point. Within a matter of an hour, we received our calls from FEMA to have the task force, Tennessee 1, respond to the wounded Pentagon that had been struck. When we pulled up on the scene, when you arrive at the Pentagon, you're up above and looking down at the structure. You're up at Arlington Cemetery, to be exact. And as I topped the hill and stopped there looking down at the Pentagon, it was still some fire. It was very chaotic. The military was certainly setting up perimeters. They had fenced off the outer area. And as I said, it was still on fire in this huge gaping hole. Just so ominous to look at the structure and see that. And I've said it before, it was almost a feeling of the greatest military in the world just got hit right in the gut. So my job as the task force leader was to go down and meet with the incident stabilization team with FEMA and get our orders as to what we would be doing. Now, having been in the fire service at that time over 26 years, I knew that there would be no survivors at this point. Our job was to go in and stabilize the Pentagon from further collapse and assist in removing whatever remains that we could in hopes of giving loved ones some closure. Normally, when you have situations where there's fire, police, all these different agencies, there's turf protection. That never occurred at the Pentagon. Everyone were Americans pulling towards a common goal. We would go in at 6 o'clock in the morning and we would work to 7 o'clock at night. Then the Maryland team would come in, relieve us, and they would work through the night. So it was a constant effort going on 24/7. They gave us 30 days when we first got there. That was the goal, to have everything removed that could be removed, the building structurally sound at that point, and the debris moved out. And the job was completed in 10 days. It was absolutely because of the training that we had just had. When we hit the ground running. It wasn't like on-the-job training. These guys had been training the last 6 months. And I can say that's nothing more but just the grace of God that put us in that position to have that discipline, that training that we had, and to respond within 30 days of the completion of it. We trained hard at the Pentagon, and it was a very successful operation. One I was very proud of, especially the guys there. The hardest thing that I remember, and I think team members will tell you the same, in the evenings when we would come out, there were thousands of candles up on the hills, up at Arlington, just people standing up there. And there would be family members with pictures, and they'd say, "Have you seen my dad? Have you seen my daughter?" And we couldn't make eye contact. We knew that if we had, we couldn't have recognized them, and that was hard. That was probably the hardest part. I think any of the task force members will tell you they were glad to be a part of the healing process for this country, and they certainly were that. They did a tremendous job. We didn't have the ability where we were to know what was going on in the country. We were locked down. We were inside a gated area. We had to have passes to get in and get out. And it wasn't until we started home until we found out about everybody waving flags and the patriotism and when we got back to Memphis, the huge welcoming that we got. We didn't feel like heroes. Not at all. It wasn't about that. But it was just great, and it just makes me wonder where the flags are today. You know, that patriotism. I know it's there. I know the American people will raise up when they're called upon, but especially during this 10-year period, at the end of it, we need to remember the victims and their families, because they suffer on and on daily with what occurred that day.